To understand why we must stop lying to ourselves, it's important to grasp the psychology of self-deception. The human mind is incredibly complex, and at times it adopts mechanisms that help us navigate difficult situations or emotions. One such mechanism is self-deception. So why do people lie to themselves? What benefit does it bring? Psychologists suggest that self-deception serves as a means to protect our self-image and maintain a sense of control over our lives. It's a buffer against realities that may seem too harsh, too raw to confront directly. For example, we might convince ourselves we're content in a job that we dislike, merely to avoid the discomfort of change or the fear of uncertainty. Self-deception can also be driven by the desire to adhere to societal norms and expectations. We may paint a picture of ourselves that aligns with what we believe is socially acceptable, even when this picture contrasts starkly with our true desires or identity. In essence, we create a fictional version of our lives, and we become the primary audience. The impact of these lies on our mental health can be significant. While self-deception may provide temporary relief, it often leads to long-term dissatisfaction and unhappiness. It creates a disconnect between who we are and who we believe we are, leading to inner conflict, stress, and reduced self-worth. Self-deception can be a comforting illusion, but it's an illusion nonetheless. And in the grand scheme of life, it obstructs our path to self-understanding and personal growth. As we will explore further, Stoic philosophy encourages us to face our truths, however inconvenient or uncomfortable, and guides us to embrace authenticity over self-deception. Stoic philosophy takes an unequivocal stance on self-deception. It does not view self-deception as a protective shield, but rather as an impediment to achieving a fulfilling and authentic life. Stoicism places a high value on self-awareness, honesty, and living in accordance with nature, which includes our own human nature. Epictetus, the renowned Stoic philosopher, once said, "Man is disturbed not by things, but by the views he takes of them." The statement underscores the idea that our perceptions often create our reality. However, when these perceptions are tainted by self-deception, the reality we live in becomes distorted. Seneca, another influential Stoic, wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." This mirrors the psychological principle we discussed earlier. Self-deception is often a product of our imagination, protecting us from perceived threats rather than real ones. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and philosopher, championed the notion of seeing things as they are. In his Meditations, he wrote, "Everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth." This reflects the Stoic emphasis on objectivity and the clear-eyed acceptance of reality. In these historical quotes, we can find wisdom that speaks directly to the issue of self-deception. Stoicism, through its teachings, urges us to cultivate an honest relationship with ourselves. It doesn't deny the discomfort that can come with confronting our self-deceptions, but it promotes this discomfort as a necessary step towards personal growth and mental freedom. The philosophy of Stoicism thus provides us with a clear directive. Embrace the truth of your situation, even when it's uncomfortable. Recognize your self-deceptions, confront them, and move past them. Only then can you lead a life in harmony with your true nature, the essence of Stoic wisdom. Now that we've established a foundational understanding of self-deception and the Stoic perspective on it, let's bring this discussion closer to our everyday lives. It's one thing to understand self-deception in theory, but recognizing it in action is a different challenge altogether. Consider personal relationships. It's not uncommon for people to convince themselves they're happy in a relationship that, upon honest reflection, might be unsatisfying or even damaging. The fear of being alone or the discomfort of conflict can lead to a narrative that everything is fine, when in reality, it might not be. Another example lies in our professional lives. Imagine working in a job that drains you, yet you tell yourself that you're content, citing reasons such as stability or societal prestige. In reality, the job may be stifling your growth and personal satisfaction, but the lie shields you from the discomfort of this acknowledgement. Consider also situations where we tell ourselves we're not capable or deserving of something. For instance, you might desire to pursue a particular hobby or career, but you convince yourself that you're not talented enough or that it's too late to start. This self-deception can stem from fear of failure or rejection, but can limit your growth and potential. We might even deceive ourselves about our health and lifestyle habits. For instance, you might downplay the unhealthy nature of your diet or lack of physical activity, arguing that you're too busy to make changes, when in fact it's about setting priorities. These are just a few instances of how self-deception manifests in our daily lives. The key takeaway here is that self-deception is not confined to dramatic life events or major decisions. It permeates our everyday thoughts and actions, sometimes so subtly that we're not even aware we're doing it. Recognizing these instances and understanding the true motivations behind them are the first steps to addressing self-deception, and Stoic philosophy provides us with the tools to do just that. So how do we stop lying to ourselves? How do we apply Stoic principles to foster honesty and authenticity? Here, Stoicism provides us with invaluable guidance. Practice self-awareness. The Stoics believed in the importance of knowing oneself. Self-awareness is the ability to see ourselves clearly, to understand who we are, how others see us, and how we fit into the world. It's about understanding our strengths and weaknesses, our passions and fears. This kind of understanding requires brutal honesty. Only when we're honest with ourselves can we truly know who we are and what we want. Embrace the dichotomy of control. A fundamental tenet of Stoicism is understanding what we can control and what we cannot. By focusing on what's in our control, our actions, judgments, and reactions, we can let go of the fears, assumptions, and expectations that often drive self-deception. Practice negative visualization. This is a Stoic technique that involves imagining worst-case scenarios. While it may seem pessimistic, its purpose is not to induce fear, but to confront it. By visualizing the worst, we can decrease the anxiety and fear that often drive self-deception. Reflect daily. The Stoics were big on journaling and daily reflection. Marcus Aurelius's Meditations, one of the best-known works of Stoic literature, was, in essence, his personal journal. Regular reflection helps us stay aware of our thought patterns and can reveal instances of self-deception. Seek wisdom. Finally, continuously seeking wisdom and knowledge is an essential Stoic practice. The more we know and understand, the better equipped we are to distinguish between truth and deception. Implementing these practices into our daily lives can help us become more honest with ourselves. It is a journey, not a destination, and every step we take towards honesty is a step away from self-deception. The road may be tough, but remember, in the words of Seneca, difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body. It's through these challenges that we grow, developing into stronger, wiser, and more authentic versions of ourselves. As we bring this discussion to a close, it's crucial to remember that confronting self-deception isn't an act of self-punishment, but an act of self-liberation. It's about freeing ourselves from the mental barriers and limitations that hinder our growth and authentic living. Coming face to face with our truths can be an uncomfortable process, often revealing aspects of our lives or ourselves that we'd rather ignore. However, this discomfort is an integral part of the journey towards personal growth and self-understanding. As the Stoics taught, the path to wisdom is often steeped in challenge and discomfort, but the rewards at the end are immeasurable. Overcoming self-deception allows us to lead lives that are not only more authentic, but also more fulfilling. We become more resilient, as we're no longer caught in a constant struggle against reality. We learn to make peace with our circumstances, embracing them for what they are, not what we wish them to be. We also learn to accept ourselves with all our strengths and weaknesses, opening up avenues for self-improvement and growth that were previously obscured by self-deception. As we move forward, let us remember the words of Epictetus. No man is free who is not a master of himself. Mastering ourselves begins with seeing ourselves clearly, and that requires courage, honesty, and a relentless pursuit of truth. So let's stop lying to ourselves and embrace the freedom that comes with authenticity, because at the end of the day, we're not just being honest with ourselves, we're being true to ourselves. And therein lies the true essence of a Stoic life. I'd like to address some potential misconceptions and pitfalls associated with the process of overcoming self-deception. 1. Mistaking self-deception for self-doubt. It's important to note that self-deception and self-doubt aren't the same. Self-doubt usually involves underestimating ourselves, questioning our abilities or worth. It's not about creating false narratives, but doubting our capabilities. On the other hand, self-deception involves creating false narratives that aren't grounded in reality. While both can limit our potential, their roots and manifestations are different. 2. Forgetting that honesty doesn't mean harshness. Being honest with ourselves doesn't mean being overly critical or harsh. Honesty is about seeing things as they are, not worse than they are. So while addressing self-deception requires acknowledging our flaws and mistakes, it doesn't require berating ourselves for them. 3. The idea that overcoming self-deception is a one-time event. Overcoming self-deception isn't a task that we complete and then move on from. It's a continuous process of self-reflection and growth. As we evolve and our lives change, we may face new instances of self-deception that require our attention. 4. Assuming that self-deception is always bad, not all self-deception is necessarily harmful. Sometimes it can serve as a protective mechanism, helping us cope with difficult situations. However, problems arise when this self-deception prevents us from addressing underlying issues or facing necessary truths. Navigating these potential pitfalls and misconceptions can help make your journey towards overcoming self-deception smoother and more productive. Remember, it's not about achieving perfection, but about striving for constant improvement and authenticity. Keep these points in mind as you continue on your path, and stay committed to your journey of self-discovery and growth. To wrap up, we want to reiterate the importance of this endeavor. Confronting and overcoming self-deception is a crucial aspect of personal growth, emotional resilience, and authentic living. It allows us to understand and accept ourselves, ultimately fostering a deeper sense of fulfillment and happiness.